Hi everyone, Mary Lang here, and welcome back to my live series that I hold every Thursday at 5, talking about how to help medical practices and group to hire best possible employees. I always share tips and tricks and small little advices that hopefully um, hopefully find to be something that one of you can take and run with and use it in your setting. Today we will talk about rural facilities, hiring there. And with that being said, I do have Henry Lang here. He is my best friend, my life partner, my workout partner, my pretty much everything. Him and I, we started Top Medical Talent in August of 2022. And our first year and a half or so, we did a lot of recruiting for very rural areas, starting with West Virginia, some places in Iowa, some places in, I believe, Wisconsin, while we were still working in our local area, which at the time was DC, Baltimore. Henry, I am going to pause here and have you introduce yourself and let us know about your first experience that you had working at the rural setting and how did you transition to it? For those who don't know, Henry Lang just retired from military a few months back and decided to go for this travel gig. So I wanted him to cover that topic because he has hands-on experience.
Um, Good afternoon. My name is Henry, as she said. Yes, all the things she said that we are. I am a practicing CRNA, and I work with Mary on Tech Medical Talent, yeah, among other things. Yes, recently retired from the Navy after 25 years. I've been a nurse since 2007, where I worked in oncology, critical care, and before I transitioned to the dark side, as they say, to CRNA, where I completed my CRNA education in 2013. Wow, you gave me a lot to talk about here. I Coming out of the military, one of the benefits of a healthcare career is there's lots of opportunities. The opportunity to move to the local hospital closest to me and just work there as a W-2 or 1099 employee was there, and for the foreseeable future will be there. So I was kind of looking for what are some of the other opportunities, and working with Mary, she ran into or attracted a client that had an opportunity for a travel team of anesthesia providers, and their primary um, role is to go to critical access hospitals. These are hospitals in areas that that provide very critical needs to communities that are far from major cities, but the need is still there. Um, my role as a member of the travel team is to cover a handful of facilities: Iowa, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Louisiana. At this point, New York. Just kind of slowly making my way through these places, covering vacation coverage, new contracts, that type of thing. That's my role with my client who has the anesthesia contracts in these facilities. And as I've worked in these facilities, I noticed that there's a significant number of the staff that are travelers, and it's a really unique experience. And So far, so good. I think one of the things that have really been beneficial is having some experience before I go into this role, because you're going to see a lot of different things done different ways, and you have to have a pretty significant toolkit. But also, it also helps you utilize your whole toolkit, things that maybe you don't have to use when you're at a big major hospital and you can hit a button and 20 people show up, and you have to kind of dig in and be a little more creative in how you handle your patient care. But I think I'm leading into some of your other questions, so I'm going to stop right there.
Yes, actually, my next question to you, I wanted to ask you, since your background is so colorful when it comes to work you do, let's say that we have a person out there who is considering this type of job, and for me personally, just thinking to go to new job, it's so stressful. But you guys do it like every other week or every month or every 3 months, whatever setting is, walking into an environment that you never been to, never met any of your coworkers, and you just gotta get gloves on and go, right? For me, that's very stressful. So for those who are out there and considering this type of employment, what would you say? What would be number one thing, or maybe even two or three, they should possess as a professional, as an individual, that will help them to kind of transition themselves into such an environment?
Well, that's a very good question. As I go about and do this, I see the vast majority of the travelers have some amount of experience. I think the first thing you can do if I were speaking to a new grad would be to get that job at that busy medical treatment facility, medical center that everybody works really hard, but you do a lot of stuff. Just get yourself some experience, a year or two of just really pushing and challenging yourself to have a lot of experience. That's possible. If there's certain types of things that you don't do that you know you probably should do, just challenge yourself in those areas before you kind of take on the travel beast. Um, it'll go a long way in helping you be more comfortable in these settings. Um, and then as you start looking for opportunities, I think the best thing to do as you research your companies and opportunities is word of mouth, to talk to people. If there's travelers in your facility, sit down and talk to them. Talk to them. What do they like about their company? What are their experiences? They'll tell you everything. Say, okay, you say it's great. Everything has, I call it the seedy underbelly. What are some of the things that weren't great? And what is that? Everything has its ups, its pros and cons, its work. But if you go into a situation eyes wide open, knowing these are some of the challenges that I'll face, or these are some of the things that are involved that I need to look out for, it'll help a lot. And you have to talk, you have to communicate, you have to let people, you have to ask questions. What are, because there's lots of details that are involved in this. Everything from travel and lodging and the type of work and the work schedule and how you're paid and how you're reimbursed and how often does it happen. Those are all little details that maybe you get excited. You're like, oh, I'm going to get a travel job. I'm going to North Dakota. I'm going to work on an Indian reservation. It all sounds great, but you get there and you find out there's two Airbnbs and one hotel that you may not want to stay at. And however, there is lodging. You just have to have had a little bit of information to kind of find out the people who are renting apartments and stuff like that, or renting rooms and those things. There's just little details involved. So I think the biggest skill set is one is develop your communication skills. If you're a naturally introvert or shy person, just really have to be willing to work on your communication skills, to really develop whatever your craft is, whether you're a nurse, surgical tech, your X-ray tech, CRNA. Just be as good as you possibly can be and as safe as you possibly can be, and be as comfortable with knowing what you can do and also knowing what you can't do, or what you need, areas that you need to grow.
That's a really good answer. I appreciate you going into details on all of the items, including two Airbnbs in an area, because I know that was a case for you in a real life. So you're talking out of experience, and thank you for that. That brings me to my next question. In your personal opinion, what would be, let's say, thing number one that gives you joy and will and power to go into these places and help? And what would be perhaps something that is a little more less enjoyable when it comes to travel job?
I think the joy would be, as I said before, Being in the military, you move regularly. Every few years, you're doing something different. You're constantly being challenged, and this travel job kind of replicates that a little bit in the sense that you're constantly getting challenged in new areas, new places, new types of equipment, new processes. But at the same time as you do that, you're learning, you're building, and you're also utilizing tools that maybe something you experienced one time in training. You're like, oh my gosh, they have that here. Um, and also the patient care component to it. So right now, I'm in a little town in Iowa, and we have a nice little hospital here. And this hospital um, provides all the same procedures. You need your knee replaced, your hip replaced, you fell down, you have a bad gallbladder, um, you need surgery. Imagine if someone told you that to get your knee replaced, you had to go 2.5 hours to the nearest major medical center to have that done. But being able to have it done here, close to home, close to your support system, is really an amazing thing. And then being able to offer them a very high level of care close to home is very, very rewarding. Um, so those are a couple of the things that I really like. I like that, if you're that type of person that likes challenges, likes diversity, views situations as opportunities instead of obstacles, it's very, very rewarding. What is a challenge? Well, I think as we are, if you're trying to build community, if you need to, if you have children, young children or pets, or the type of things that would make traveling a little more burdensome, those are things that you really have to be really honest with, and make sure you have everything in place. Because in healthcare, when you're at work, you're at work, and you combine that with being at work and also being, on the other side of the country, makes it even more complicated. So I think you have to be at a certain point in time. We were in a transition period where we were leaving the military, already moving someplace new. So it kind of fit for us. So you have to be really honest with yourself about that. There's a lot of benefits to travel. Most people travel in addition to the challenge and seeing the places. We travel because, just to be frank, it's the compensation is really good. So you can get higher compensation by traveling. I have a 26-week contract with this particular company. So what that does for me is it gives me 26 weeks, to pursue other things, whether it be other types of anesthesia, other business things we have interest in, and it gives us some time to do that and a little travel that we like to do. So I'm able to work a couple of weeks and have the freedom to do some other things when I'm home. Um, you may live someplace that there aren't a lot of medical opportunities, but travel will allow you to go places where you can pursue more opportunities yet maintain your home base. So for a lot of, based on your personal life, and we all have different needs and different things we like, um, travel can be very rewarding if you go into it eyes wide open, really positive attitude, and really think about like the work that you're doing. You're doing what we do as healthcare providers, but when kind of I think the point of this particular talk is like going to these rural places that there's this term I heard at the airport the other day when I was traveling. Someone called it flyover country. There's so many people call flyover country. Well, there's people here. There's communities here. There's patients here. There's healthcare providers here working really hard to provide these, members of our community really good care, and being a part of that process is very nice.
Thank you so much. One last final question will be, if you have any advice or any last minute thing you would like to mention, again, for those professionals out there who are perhaps considering such an opportunity.
One, ask a lot of questions. So talk to people who are doing it. All of our different professional groups have Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups, and who professional groups of travelers, people who do it. ask questions, ask to, jump into someone's DMs and say, can I have a phone call with you? I want to talk to you about your experiences with travel. There's a traveler at your current facility. Talk to them. Ask them questions about what is it like, what do they like about it, what they don't like. Number two, once you go down the path of being a traveler, understand that typically you're either a 1099 with like a traveling company, or you have a business to business relationship for traveling company. Always remember that you are representing your brand. You are, so in addition to, in healthcare we have a lot of customers. Our patient, of course, is our customer, but you're the traveling company you work for is your customer, so you're representing them, and you're also representing yourself when you get to the facility. So maintaining a very, very high level of professionalism, viewing yourself as a breath of fresh air when you come into these facilities. Oftentimes, they'll, because they're using travelers, that means they're short staffed. So the people who do work there oftentimes may not necessarily always be like, "Hey, Henry, here things go," because they're kind of burnt out and they're just, there's somebody else here, and just know you're going there to provide a service, but you're representing your brand, and don't forget that. Come in professional. It's always easier to kind of loosen things up as you get comfortable with a facility, as a facility gets comfortable with you, than to go in and just really try to, you're there to do a job and represent your company and represent yourself and do the very best job you can with whatever the task is that you're given. And oftentimes when we come into these facilities, there's history. That's not why we're there, and kind of, if there's an opportunity for you to help, opportunity for you to share, opportunity for you to educate, awesome. But at the same time, it's not necessarily, we may not on day one have all the information to be overly critical. Um, and I guess the last thing I always say, because this is the foundation of my practice, is safety first. There's absolutely nothing wrong with making sure you keep yourself safe, you keep your patients safe, and you ask the right questions. Not tentative, not where like, but if you're asked or put in a position where you are not comfortable, or you're asked to do something that you don't maybe have all the information for, it's not saying that you won't do it, but just saying, maybe I need to get a little more information. I need to get a little help with this. This is something I'm not comfortable with the goal of being safe. Because at the end of the day, there's not, no one will ever um, give you a hard time because you ask a question for the purpose of safety. Um, and if you and when you go back and look, if you're like, oh, I did it, but because I wasn't really sure. No, figure out immediately who are those people that you reach out to if you get in a situation that you're not safe, or that you have questions, and ask questions from the standpoint of, I just want to be safe, and you can never go wrong.
That is just awesome, Henry. Thank you so much for sharing such a valuable insights based on your experience. It's going to be about how long now since you started traveling? More than 6 months, is it?
Well, yeah, I think we started in October,
Right.
and yeah, we're getting there. We are
Yeah,
getting
time
there.
flies.
Our first year of travel is flying. So thank you very much. I'm happy that our schedules finally connected and I was able to jump on board. And I love that you're doing this, just sharing information with people. And hopefully, someone gained insight. I think you're putting this on LinkedIn.
That is correct. We are streaming on LinkedIn and YouTube. I appreciate your time today with us. I just wanted to encourage those who might have questions, might be interested to reach out to me or Henry over LinkedIn, and we'll be happy to address those questions and help you guys with next steps, regardless if it's travel job or any other job that you might be after. All right. Thank you all. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you next Thursday. Bye now.
Bye bye.